After driving from Liverpool to the Netherlands and back in my Tesla, crossing countries, charging across Europe and attending one insane Tesla event, there's one final question left to answer. How much this entire trip actually cost me? In this final part of the EU road trip series, we're heading home to Liverpool, breaking down the full costs and finding out whether doing a road trip like this in an EV is actually worth it, or if a petrol would have been cheaper. Welcome to Ben Goes Electric. Thanks to 3W Car Mats for sponsoring this series of video. More about them later on. If you've watched this entire journey so far, thank you for coming along. And if not, make sure to check the full playlist after this because it's been an incredible journey. Now, it's time to go home. I've just checked out of the hotel. I'm ready to go over to the car. It's a frosty, cold morning in Lelystad today. I'm ready for the 10 hours ahead of us. So, and a very good morning, guys, from here, Lelystad in the Netherlands. Now, if you've not seen my previous videos of me getting here, they'll be in the link down in the description or clicking up at the top. But it's time to go home, sadly. So, how does the Tesla deal with that longer journey all the way back to the UK? We're going on the ferry as well, so that'll be very exciting. So, it's around about 8 o'clock in the morning, the car, 53% battery, and it's time to head back to the UK. So, we're going to plan the route back to the UK. I'm going to probably stop in Farnborough to see someone and possibly stay overnight and then travel back up to Liverpool the following day. It is a long journey. It's about 10 hours in total, 5 here in Europe and 5 over in the UK. So we're going to use a screen, plan the journey to Farnborough via the port of Calais and see where we need to charge, because we definitely will need to since we're only on 53%. So let's plan that route. So let's see how easy it is. So hopefully if I can just type in, let's go Farnborough. It'll probably take me via the shuttle, as you can see there. So we need to edit the trip. And we'll go via Calais. There we go, port of Calais. Okay, add that, and then just add that as first. Ferry entrance. And there we go. So we're just going to set our arrival energy a bit higher than 10%. We'll probably look around about 40%. So it's suggesting Antwerp. We'll arrive at Calais with 13%. And then, see that? Now this is a bit weird. It's saying we'll arrive, but then also charge. So it's like go to the port, then charge, and then come back. So we're not probably going to do that. And then one just before we get to Farnborough. Probably a bit confusing. And so the charge stop in Antwerp that we'll probably stop at, it looks like we'll arrive there with 11%. What we'll do is we'll get on the road and see how things go. And like I said in the previous videos, you can plan the charging trips yourself. You don't have to stick to what Tesla suggests. So let's get back to the UK. Now, are you unhappy with your floor mats in your car? Are they making your car feel a little less premium? Maybe that's because, just like my car, they're thin, they're always damp and wet and dirty and folded up from getting in and out of the car. They're not designed very well, they're just an afterthought. Well, that's where our video sponsor 3W car mats come into the equation, offering premium all-weather floor mats for a variety of different makes and models. They're made from a single layer of TPE material. They're designed to actually protect the interior of your car, protect your investment. The design of the mats are custom made to fit each model perfectly. They've got raised edges, so all that dirt and water stays in the car mat instead of soaking in to the floor of the car. Again, protection. And when they are dirty, you can just take them out, give them a rinse, back in the car, brand new. And unlike the default ones, they have mats just for the front driver and passenger, or for the entire car, rear passenger, boot liners, sub boot, even the front boot if your car has got one. They've got many makes and models ranging from this Tesla to Volvos, BMWs, Toyotas, Vauxhalls. So take a look at the website in the description below to find mats for your car. And when heading to the checkout, use code BENGOESELECTRIC for an exclusive 22% off your order. So, why wait? Protect your car today. Get some nice premium car mats. Thanks for 3W for sponsoring this video. Now, back to the trip. So, little update on the journey. We're about 121 kilometres into the trip after leaving Lierstad. Couldn't tell you where I am. We're just about to join the A16. Still due to arrive at Antwerp Supercharger for our first charging stop. How's the journey been so far? Pretty decent, quiet, chill. Roads are pretty nice today. It's quite chilly though. The car was frosty this morning, so I had to precondition it just to clear all the ice. It's rising now to about 8-9 degrees, so it's improving the temperature, but still a little bit chilly. So yeah, we'll be on the road about an hour and 20 minutes. Now we've used 20.6 kilowatt hours of the battery with an efficiency of 168.1 watt hours per kilometre. Again, miles will be on the screen for conversion. We're just using kilometres since we're in Europe. 26% left in the battery, indicated 140 kilometres. We've got 66 kilometres to go until our first charging stop in around about 40 minutes. So yeah, it's been pretty chill, pretty easy in an electric car. Not really having to think, the car's doing all the work for me. It's telling me when I need to stop. I don't have to worry about planning. I know I'm going to turn up, there'll be a chargers available, I can just plug in and the car will deal with it all. I don't have to think about screens and cards and all that nonsense. Just plug it in, starts charging. Same as petrol really, you just push in the nozzle and press the switch and it'll fill up. Same with this, that's what we want, it's convenience at the end of the day. So yeah, about 40 minutes until the first stop, which is when I will be back to talk to you once we're in Antwerp. Right, so we're just on the outskirts of Antwerp, ready to pull into the hotel. So we're at a Novotel, and the chargers should be at the back of it somewhere. So we'll just follow the nav and hopefully we'll see some Tesla superchargers. I think, yeah, they are right at the back. Lovely. See, that's how easy it is. Just follow the nav and then you're there. So, again, here we go. 6A, out of service, so don't park at 6A. And we'll just find a free stall, which isn't 6A, plug in and see where we're at. So that's 6A right at the end there. So we'll go 6B. Here we go, line up, perfect like that. And just like that, we can charge. So it looks like here we've got, what was that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is it 7? 7 V2 units, and then behind me I think we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 V3. Not too bad. 250 kilowatts this side, 150 that side. So yep, gonna plug in and see how long we need to be here for. And just like that, 10 minutes later, up to 48%, and we can set off. So I had a look on the map while I was waiting, we kind of jigged the charging stop. So we'll have a charging stop now in Dunkirk in France, which is 180 kilometers away, about an hour and 52. We'll arrive there with 11% if we leave now, and then we can charge basically there up to as much as we want before we need to get to the port, before we board the ship for Dover. Nearly said Calais then, from Calais to Dover. So yeah, that's the route so far. So we're basically halfway between Calais and where we were in Liestad. So then yeah, it's just taking up the coastal road into France, and then I think it's like the A16 or something like that, yeah. And then it's only a short 15-minute drive from there to the ferry. So let's not waste around any more time here. Let's get back on the road, and next stop is in Dunkirk. So update, we're just outside of Bruges here now. It's been about an hour since we left Antwerp for the charging. We've done 110 kilometers. We've used 17.3 kilowatt hours of the battery. Average efficiency over that period, 155.6 watt hours per kilometer. Not too bad. Let's have a look at the whole trip since leaving Liverpool. It feels ages away. So in total we've done 1,296 kilometers. Again, miles will be on the screen. We've used 213.1 kilowatt hours of energy, averaging 164.4 watt hours per kilometer. So I don't think too bad. And let's not remember, a lot of Europe's top speeds are higher than they are in the UK. You know, in France, 130 kilometers an hour over 80 miles per hour. So of course, cars are going to be a lot less efficient at those higher speeds, but it's real world. I want to do the real speed limits. I mean, yeah, you can slow down, and I've done videos on that before, but we want to actually get there. At the end of the day, we've got a ferry to catch, haven't we? So we've got about 69 kilometers, 40 minutes until Dunkirk for our next charging stop. Due to arrive on 13%, we've got 27% at the moment, indicating 148 kilometers. So all is quite relaxed here in the Tesla. Not a care in the world. Be interesting to see the price that this is going to cost at the end of it, and compare that to what it would cost to do it in a petrol or diesel car. Because especially at the moment, the prices are climbing due to external factors. You know, you're approaching £1.50 a litre in the UK, and Europe is no better. So, at the end, well, look at that. How much does this cost me? How many times have I had to stop? For how long? But it's important to know, each stop I've had so far wasn't really because I needed to charge. Of course I needed to charge. But at the same time, I needed to stretch my legs. I needed to go to the toilet. I needed a drink. And you would do those stops anyway in a petrol or diesel. Stopping and charging isn't really an inconvenience. You're stopping anyway, so why not let the car charge? So yeah, we've not got long left until we reach our charging stop, which is probably when I'll next speak to you when we're approaching Dunkirk. So we're just pulling out into this Dunkirk supercharger. Seems to be on this kind of retail park section. I can see over there 11.3, so just following the nav, and that should hopefully take us there. And I can just see them through the welcome sign over there. Lovely. So we can just pull in here. Here we go. V4 units today. Lovely, that's what we like to see, V4s. So we'll plug into this one here. You'll see a lot more V4s around Europe, especially France compared to the UK, because they decided to upgrade all the V2 ones to V4s, so more EVs could use them. So they're open to all. Right, so we're gonna charge here. Maybe have a little look around. I think there's a big shop over there and a few over there while we charge. And we've got 25 minutes till we get to the port, so we can have at least a half an hour charge here. Not too bad. So I'll plug in, hopefully we'll get the max 250 kilowatts, and yeah, I'll get back to you when we're ready to set back on the journey towards Calais. And 40 minutes later, 80% charge here. We'll arrive at the port with about 71%, and I believe Farnborough with 16%. Again, we'll see if we need a little bit more later down the road. But it was easy, really. Like, I went around, had a look at the shops, went to the toilet, and had a little stretch of the legs, and before I knew it, 81% now. So plenty enough to get on the way, and perfect timing to get to the port about 2 hours before the boat. Now, charging in Europe, it's been pretty decent. If we pull up the charging page here, 38 cents a kilowatt hour, total 22 euros for this session. But compared to the UK, that's already a lot cheaper. We'll be paying about 40p. So, around probably about, 50 cents. Anyway, enough faffing about. Let's get back on the road for the final journey in Europe before we head back to probably a gloomy UK. We know what it's like. So that's us checked in and passport control done. We'll be given our card. We need to go to lane 1212, and that's where we'll wait for the ferry, basically. Although, I think we've still got an inspection. There we go, through that. I think just like the shuttle, it is a lot of like complicated driving around. Because I think we now have another checkpoint, because we've done check-in, we've done France kind of passport control, now it's UK border control. So yeah, good thing is they've got lanes on both sides, so if you're on the English side on the right, you can go to this side. If you're European, you can go on the other side. So passports at the ready. So I'll get through this check now. And now we basically sit and wait for the ferry. So once the ferry's here and arrived, we'll get back on the way. So back in the UK, driving on the left-hand side of the road, I think there's just been a crash. So the cars in front, it looked like they hit each other. So yeah, back in the UK, driving standards down, weather down, but we're back to miles per hour, left side of the road. Getting a bit tired now, so I do think I'm going to have a stop overnight in Farnborough anyway, and then continue up north in the morning. There's nothing worse than driving tired, so always take a break or always stop driving if you feel tired, especially the M25 at rush hour. It's just going to tire me out even more. So since leaving the ferry at Dover, we've done 68.8 miles. We use 18 kilowatts. It's been about an hour and 6 minutes of driving, and an efficiency of 261.2 watt hours per mile. So where does that leave us for the whole trip so far? So far we have done 943.6 miles. We've used 251.4 kilowatt hours of energy, average consumption of 266.4 watt hours per mile. It's a lot of miles and a lot of electricity, but how much will it cost? That's the exciting part. So yeah, I'm just got about 40 miles, 50 minutes until Farnborough area. So I'll probably next speak to you there and then sign off for the night, because yeah, like I said, it's getting a bit late. I mean, it's 5 p.m. now in the UK, and you think I set off at about 7 a.m. UK time, so it's been quite a long time on the road. And to think, if I was going to carry on to Liverpool, I wouldn't get back until about 10 p.m, and that's way longer than like lorry drivers are legally allowed to drive, so we'll definitely have to split that journey. So yeah, hopefully once I reach Farnborough, I'll let you know the end of that day's stats, and then we'll start fresh in the morning. Right, so I've made it to Farnborough. It's 6 p.m. now UK time, so that ends today's journey, but we're going to set off again in the morning. So we've done 981.6 miles. We've used 259.8 kilowatt hours, average consumption of 264.6. So not the best, but not the worst. So yeah, I'm going to get some sleep now, because it's been a long day, and I will catch up with you in the morning. I'll see you then. And good morning. It's around 5:30 in the morning next day. So we're going to set back now to Liverpool. I'm just going to put in the navigation now, back home, and we've got let's have a look which way it's putting us. So it's putting us on the M1, it looks like, will be the quickest way. So it looks like we've got a stop in Newport, Pegnell, and then Kiel before we get home at around 9 o'clock. So let's get on the road and get back to Liverpool. Right, about to enter Newport Pegnell services now. We've got 3% left. We've done 72.4 miles since leaving Farnborough, 20 kilowatts of the battery. It's taken us an hour and 10 minutes with an efficiency of 275 watt hours per mile. And there the charges over there. Looking at V3 units at least. So not too bad. Need to clean me reversing camera there. It's a bit dirty. It's been a long trip. And there we go. Lovely. So in total we have done 1,054 miles. We've used 279.8 Kilowatt hours of energy, average efficiency of 265.4 watt hours per mile. Right, let's get charged and see how long we need to be here for. It's now just before 6:15 in the morning. So we'll see how long it takes us to get charged to either another charging station or even all the way home. We'll see what's the quickest option. Cool, and just like that, about 20 minutes, up to 66%. We'll get home with 10, which is more than enough to get home on now. So that will probably be the last charging stop for the video because, yes, I can get home 11% now. I might still charge out before I get home because I need to go out in the afternoon, and charging slow at home, I probably won't get enough range for that. But as things go for this journey, all the charging done is needed, and at the end of the day I've got free supercharging to use, so it doesn't actually cost me anything. So we'll unplug and get back on the way towards Liverpool now. It's about 3 hours to go, 160 miles. So that's the journey done back home. Filming this a couple of days later, just to give me some time to top it all up for the grand reveal of how much did this journey cost me. That's what you're all here for. Was it cheaper than a petrol or diesel car? So the final trip information for the journey, we've done 1,218 miles in total, using 319.2 kilowatt hours of energy and an average efficiency of 262.1 watt hours per mile. Again, like I've said, we've had bad weather on this journey. It's a long journey and it wasn't particularly warm. So efficiency, not the best from this car, but not the worst. It's alright, let's just say that. Well, let's go through the details, shall we? Let's start first with how long I actually stopped for to charge, because that's the thing with electric cars, constantly having to stop and charge your car, inconvenience. It's rubbish. So in total, we stopped for 2 hours and 38 minutes across all the charging sites. And when you put that into perspective, that's not bad for a journey that was 1,218 miles long. Of course, we had the ferry, but when you're in a petrol diesel car, you're going to have to stop to take a rest anyway. It's a long journey. Yeah, if you did the whole thing in one go, it's nearly 11 hours of driving. Even truck drivers have to stop after that and within that time. So enough of the inconvenience. It wasn't. I was ready to stop before the car was ready to stop, really. So charging time, I don't think that's too bad for that long journey. Now breaking down the individual stops and the prices. So we first stopped at Wokingham. For 14 minutes, we charged 29.3 kilowatt hours of energy at 40p a kilowatt hour, totaling £11.72. Again, all the euros will be on the screen. Next up, Sevenoaks charged 40.9 kilowatt hours at 21p because it was off-peak, totaling £8.58. Then next was Ghent, 39.9 kilowatt hours at 40p kilowatt hour, £15.96. Meerkat next for 45.5 kilowatt hours with 35p a kilowatt hour, giving us £15.92. Then on the journey back to the UK, Antwerp was next, 34.4 kilowatt hours, 37p, costing £12.72. Then Dunkirk, 58.4 kilowatts. This was a bigger charge, costing us 35p, totaling £20.44, the biggest one so far. And then finally at Newport Pagnell, where we had 53.2 kilowatt hours, and again, because it was before the 8 in the morning, it was only 22p a kilowatt hour, totaling £11.70. So that brings the total supercharging cost to £97.04. To do 1,218 miles, that's not too bad. But one more cost to add up. We started with 100%. I got back at home with 11%, so I had to charge back up to the 100%. So we needed 66.75 kilowatt hours, and at the low overnight charging cost of 7.5p at the time of recording, only a fiver to get back up to 100%. So when you add all that together, £102.04. Now, yeah, it sounds like a lot, but where does that compare to petrol and diesel? Well, I've got those specs as well. So let's take petrol to start with. So to do the 1,218 miles, you've got your average petrol car around about 40 miles per gallon. At the current price of 157p a litre, it's expensive now, you would need 138.4 litres of petrol, totalling £217.33. Already cheaper for the electric car. Diesel.
Stop. Diesel. Remember, diesel.
Now I hear you say, diesels are more efficient on a longer journey. That is true. Your average diesel, about 60 miles per gallon on that long journey. You would have needed 92.29 litres of diesel, and at 189p a litre at time of recording, £174.42 to do it in diesel. A bit cheaper than petrol, but nowhere near electric. And to make it a bit more fun, what would you have needed to happen for petrol and diesel to meet the price of electric? Well, with petrol, you either would have needed the car to do 85 miles per gallon on the current prices of petrol, or you'd need petrol to come all the way down to 74 pence a litre, and none of them are going to happen, so don't even think about that. Diesel?
Remember, diesel.
You would have needed your car to do 103 miles per gallon, or the price to come down to 111p a litre. Again, it's not going to happen. So the clear winner is electric, and especially Tesla with their cheaper superchargers compared to the more expensive chargers out there. And now I get that if we were using other brands, it might have been a bit more, but then you need to be looking at a subscription for like Ionity, for an example, because they're found across Europe. So you'd get that subscription, which brings the price down to around about 48p a kilowatt hour here in the UK, and it's even cheaper in Europe. To bring that cost down to a little bit of how Tesla charge. So there are ways, if you don't own a Tesla and can use a supercharging network, to do that. But of course, the supercharging network is open to all for a lot of places here in the UK, and nearly all of them in Europe. So you can still use the supercharging network to get those lower prices. Now, I could have done it in less stops. I could have had longer stops, but with time constraints and wanted to get there, shorter stops meant quicker charges and less time waiting around. So I don't think that's too bad. Now, the important thing to mention about the price, realistically, I only actually paid £5 for this journey, and that's because of you guys, all the referrals that you have given me. So I've had a lot of free supercharging to use, which meant every single supercharger cost me £0, and I'm so thankful for all of you who have used my referral link, because you've made this trip happen. So again, thank you so much. Now, if you want to get 650 miles of free supercharging on your brand new Tesla, link in the description to find my referral code. Again, appreciated if you use it. Now let me know, have you done a long journey like this, or would you do it now you know that it's a lot cheaper than petrol or diesel? And would you switch to get an electric car to do these longer journeys? Because save yourself some money. Because at the end of the day, you can get petrol and electric cars for about the same price now within the same brand. So why wouldn't you choose the electric one? It's not an inconvenience because you're not stopping for as long as you think. You'd have to stop anywhere in your petrol car. And it's a lot cheaper. Well, that ends it for this amazing journey. Thank you very much for watching all the parts if you have. I know it's been a long video series and I hope you have enjoyed it. Now, let me know, would you like to see some more of these longer journeys, more road trips on the channel, or what else would you like me to do to show this a lovely electric car? Don't forget to subscribe and like the video, of course. We've got so much more content coming this year, and as things start heating up because it's summer, efficiencies start to get better, so it's going to get even cheaper. So thank you very much for watching, guys, and I will see you on the next one. Bye bye for now.